David, thanks for joining us today, or thank you for allowing us to be in your space today.
I'm getting to join you. This is fantastic. I mean, look, your space. You've got it set up. This is very nice. I feel very professional right now.
I would love to know what the difference is from being a performer and a worship leader. Is there a difference?
I look at it, the way I got started in this, I was just a part of a church start.
Yeah.
And, we all come with different giftings, and what we want to do is bring how we've been put together and offer ourselves as living sacrifices. So when I'm a part of a church community, I'm the guy that they're looking at like, hey, you kind of get around on the guitar or piano, why don't you help out and help facilitate us singing together? And so that's where my head is. And the rooms and the environments and the people have changed over the years, and like I'm in Buffalo.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me, coming from where I came from. But I think my role and the way I view myself is still exactly the same. That I'm going to have a moment. The reason I'm here is to help facilitate people responding to God through music. And so there is an element, I think if there's an element of performance in it, it would be, you're executing stuff, you're trying to hit pitches and remember lyrics and hitting right notes and organizing all of the rest of the band to help facilitate that moment, And so I think that would be how I'd view the performance aspect. And the other thing that I think is really key is to people who are on the stage, when they make you feel comfortable. Like if I'm in the audience and I'm watching somebody up there, the best moments are when I stop thinking about them up on a stage and me out here, but where either the song kind of takes over the room or a moment takes over the room or the space, and I think that's probably an element of experience, and you might attribute that to performance or just having the ability to shape the space that we're all standing next to each other in, because it's a fragile thing to present yourself like that, and it's a fragile thing, I think, to allow yourself to be moved by something that somebody else is putting in front of you. So yeah. I think that exchange is best facilitated by the person who's supposed to be the professional at it.
I found this article about a young man by the name of Bruce. Have you heard about Bruce?
I don't know.
So I think you're going to be touched by this. Uh-huh. So I'll read a little bit of Bruce's story. One summer night in July, naked, high on crystal meth, and living under a boardwalk in Long Island, New York, Bruce walked into the Atlantic Ocean with the intent on swimming until he could go no further. God had taken his beloved brother. He had a drunk for a dad. His parents divorced. It goes on about Bruce's life and how he wanted to end it. Well, later on, Bruce ends up going into a 12-step program, ends up buying a guitar, and one of the first songs, he gets invited to a church, and the first song he sings is Your Come As You Are.
Oh, wow.
What does that feel like and sound?
That's crazy, right?
When you hear stories of people being touched by your song.
That's what you're hoping for. I mean, you spend a lot of time trying to articulate what you've experienced or what I've experienced. And most of the time it's been very specific moments that I'm trying to put words around that, and most of them are related to my experience in my home church, Yeah. So a lot of what I've been writing from has been in Atlanta, Georgia, my home church in Atlanta, Georgia, what we've experienced. And that there's like commonality in what we're going through, because we're so similar. Even though we're so different, we're so similar. We're all in the same boat and in the same condition, created by God, trying to find communion again with our Maker. And so the story that we're singing about could get very redundant, but when you find words that express it in a way that makes it feel new to you, to make the experience of grace translate in a way that feels new and gives me the ability to re-experience it. My hope is that somebody else is going to feel the same thing that was turning in me when a few words fell together with a melody. But yeah, I think for somebody like that, for whatever reason, if you look back through my content of what I've been writing about, that's pretty much the same. I'm just singing the same song over and over. We're just all called uniquely, And so my responsibility toward the story of God is no greater or less than my friends, and they sell insurance or work at the Gap, or there's a lot of celebrity kind of jacks all of that up, in our culture when if your pursuit is I've been found and redeemed, and I know I should not be where I am right now without the grace of God, and you want to tell people and you want to bring people into that story, then that's something way more. You want to do a good job with the music because that's what you're carrying, and that shifts your motive. And motive's invisible, but motive, I think, means everything.
When you decided to go solo and the band broke up, have you learned some new things about yourself in this process?
Yeah, I love the collaborative songwriting moment. We were very insular. I did most of the writing in the first band, and we were just like the church band. We were the guys that were leading on a Sunday morning. All of us were still in college at the time we started, and yet at the same time I didn't have outside writers coming in and helping with things, and all the people that were a part of it were mostly on the musical side. And so once I started the solo deal, and I wasn't trying to be insular, now I'm trying to say something a little broader.
Right.
Man, I got to write with just some of my heroes in terms of church or liturgical music writing, and I love it. It's such a sacred space. You walk into a room and you might have some ideas, you might not have any ideas, and you might walk away with nothing, or you might just be like, stunned at what occurred. Not that everybody else is going to be stunned, but there are those moments where you're just like, oh my goodness, I'm seeing this in a way I've never seen it before, and it just reminds me of church. It's like getting church together and having it with some of your pals in a room, and all of a sudden there's a song in the middle of us. And so that more than anything, I've grown in that respect as far as my writing and music side of things.
Yeah. Is there a little bit of fear? There was so much success with the band.
Yeah.
And so is there trepidation, fear, but like what happens in the future?
I'm not sure how I get away with this, but thank God I didn't start into this wanting to do this.
Yeah.
I was wanting to do something completely different, and so it wasn't. I never saw the platform. I've been afraid of the platform rather than in pursuit of it, And so if it went away, I don't feel. I'm not holding on to it very tightly, and I've always, me and my wife both. It's always like, I mean, eventually they'll stop calling, like you can't. This is music.
David.
This is like this. You don't have longevity if you're growing up. Well, it's surprising that there are a number of people that have that, but it's like getting struck. I mean, it's winning the lottery or getting struck by lightning. The odds are so small. There's so many talented people that are making amazing things that nobody ever hears, and how in the world I'm still doing this is just a mystery. It really is. And so the fear side of it was more, I really didn't feel anything like, uh-oh, what's going to happen next, until I turned in the first record,
Okay.
And then it's just like, it's too late. It's already done. You hand it in, you're like, uh-oh, well, now it's all my fault. Like, there's nobody to blame but me. So if they don't like it, what does that mean? Luckily, they liked it, so I haven't had to deal with that rejection yet.
They keep liking it. They keep liking it.
I'm kidding. The whole time, if you're doing anything in the public, you have people that don't like anything you're doing. So I think that's another thing that happens to people who, for whatever reason, are elevated. You gotta be pretty thick-skinned, because people like to tear down whoever's above folks, and so I think that's part of it too. Is having done it so long, it's like. It's not the worst thing. Success is just, I think, poorly defined when it's related to, do people like my music or not? I wound up in Atlanta because it was time for life to go in a different way. It didn't feel success. Felt like the things that are valuable are not. We don't have room for them, and so it needed more. I needed more space personally. Me and my wife both, and folks in the band. It's like life is different, and to say we sold a lot of records. That's successful, I guess, in terms of music, but it's not really that valuable when there's a lot of other stuff that I think the economy of God says is more valuable than how many people like your songs. So
How about in your walk with God as you're now doing this solo?
it was crazy. When I first started, it felt like I was on this journey of displacement, you know.
Yeah, I could imagine that. Yeah.
So I've been in Texas my whole life.
Yeah.
Grew up there. Granted, I traveled a bunch, you know, in the other band, but you're never like it's never like you're off the road and now you're home and what's your peer set. Since I was a part of that church that started, all my peer set was really very, again, insular. Like we'd be on the road and they hit the home, and there's all this list of to-dos for the church still, and I just felt like church.
Right.
And so when I got to Atlanta, I wasn't on staff anymore. I was on staff there for 16 years, and I immediately dove into my home church there in Atlanta's PCC, Passion City Church, and Louis Giglio, who's been a friend forever, is the pastor there, and I love it. But wow, do I love not being on staff?
Yeah.
It's the best, just to get to go and serve when it makes sense and I'm needed, and that part of it has just brought a lot of life for both me and my wife there. It's been an amazing season. You know, we've been there about 5 years now, and it's been awesome.
What do you love about music? My last question.
I don't know. It should be an easy answer for somebody that makes music. I don't know what I love about music. It confuses me, to be honest with you, because it's so organized. It's like the idea that you have all of the frequency, and we organized it and split it into. We just organized all of the sounds around us, and then all of a sudden there's a response that it pulls that we can all agree somewhat that moved me in this way or that way, and it's mysterious, it's magical, and I think what I love most is when I get surprised by it, when I get when it moves me in a way that I didn't see coming, and yeah.
It's awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.